Very often in life, we are told that we can be whoever we want to be, that we can achieve anything we want to achieve. And quite scaringly, that everything that we are and that we embody has, in one way or another, been manifested by us, been claimed by us, that we are sitting in rooms that we have brought ourselves into, that we are locking ourselves in, or that we excel because we've brought ourselves to those places where we are sitting. And so, this law of attraction, which is what I've really just described, states that whether consciously or unconsciously, we manifest certain thoughts and beliefs and actions that become who we are. And I want us to really reflect on that and see how we can use that positively in our lives. My name is Asa, and I am very, very honored to have you on my channel, Clear Minds and Self Healings. I want to appreciate my returning subscribers and encourage you, if you're watching this for the first time, to subscribe and join me on this channel. I discuss anything that is related to personal growth, self-awareness, self-esteem, empowerment, healing, and really that open-minded reflection and discussion that will get you thinking about things that you may know and ignore, or those that you've never known and that you can therefore use to elevate yourself either internally or externally as you go about life. Today, I will use the law of attraction to really help us build a mindset of abundance, like an empowering mindset, a self-esteem and self-image which speaks for you, which opens doors for you. Because I have always said that we have it in us. And sometimes we remain subsistent because we've never known the other side of it, or because we don't believe in our abilities to get to the other side of those things. Now, the law of attraction is one that reveals that whatever we become, we have manifested in one way or the other. It doesn't mean that we invited tragedy into our lives. It doesn't mean that the trauma or the grieving or those other things that we experience out of our own will are not real. What this means is that whatever the experiences, whatever the opportunities or the lack thereof in your life, you can rise above by your simple thoughts, your beliefs, your attitude towards life, and your mindset. So if you are a happy and a positive and a grateful person, you're more likely to navigate those dark and broken days. You're more likely to see the light at the end of the tunnel and therefore believe in joy after that sorrow. You're more likely to excel and to see those little pieces of you that are still beautiful, even with the scars and the brokenness. And that's how you cultivate and elevate yourself, even in a world of doom and gloom. Conversely, someone who is negative and who is hurting and who doesn't believe in those joys of life will sit endlessly in pessimism, irrespective of the wealth and the health and the opportunities that they have, and therefore will continuously attract that darkness because they are failing to look into the brightness. Because what this concept is telling us is that as much as there's darkness in the world, you simply introducing light into darkness eliminates that darkness. So as much as we're going to face those dark and broken days, we can also heal. We are self-healing humans. So when you seek light, you eliminate darkness. You acknowledge that the darkness is there, but you use the light, which is your positive attributes, which is the positive attributes of those around you, to eliminate that darkness and that misery and that unwellness. Here are a few examples of how beautifully the law of attraction works. Let's take love, for example. You seek love by giving love, not receiving in the first instance. You have love by letting love be, not by cuddling. So the concept of love itself is daunting because you have to have it to give it. But the thing is, we want it when we don't have it. We don't feel like giving it in that instance. So, like a butterfly, when you have love, you hug it because it's beautiful and you don't want it to fly away from you. But the thing is, when you hug it, you crush it. And when you have it and believe in it and you let it go, you have it because it flies away, but it flies for you and it flies with you. And that's how your relationships can be manifested. When you're insecure, you box yourself and those that you love around that insecurity. And it doesn't end well. And it doesn't seem attractive. But when you're confident and you see the beauty and the value in yourself, what you can give to somebody, you let go. Because if they are not giving that to you, then they are not worth you. You have that confidence, and therefore you're open minded and it blooms, and people see that in you and they give you that love that you haven't cuddled. The same goes for your identity. Very often, we work so hard for an identity and we achieve it, and then we sit in it, and then we cuddle it. We cuddle it because we can't dare to lose that thing that we worked so hard for. And in doing so, we stay in that position. We almost even lose that identity. It's almost like the law of diminishing marginal utility. I think I really loved this when I did economics back in high school days, because basically, imagine a hot day in the desert. Like, you've been out, you've had a long day, you're starving, you're thirsty, you have your perfect meal and drink in the fridge, you get home and you take that out, and the first bite or the first sip, the value that you get out of that is amazing. But the more you consume and the more you consume and the more you fill up, the more you satisfy that need, the lesser the marginal utility or satisfaction that you get from that unit of consumption. And that's the same with your identity, because when you own it and you become it and you live in it for that long and you satisfy it, it's time to let it go and step on to the next beautiful identity. But if you hug and stay in that one, the next one never comes. Now let's examine your mindset, your values, your thoughts, your belief in yourself, and how those impact on your everyday decision making, and consequently the outcomes that you get from those decisions. Say, for instance, there is a job that you really like, but you don't believe in yourself. The way you walk into that job interview is already going to seem either defeated or unmotivated. Your self-esteem, the value in yourself, almost tells you that this job is too high for you. And somehow, some way, you walk into that job interview with that manifestation. The other person who believes in themselves, even with very little knowledge to fill that role, will walk into that interview room with confidence, with a manifestation, with a claim on that job role, and say, listen, this is me. This is what I bring. This is who I am. You will miss out if you don't take me for that role. And what I'm lacking, I'm really great at learning. And this is how well I will learn the gaps that I don't have if you give me this job. And the motivation and the positive outlook is what will pick that job for them. Because for the other side of the interview, as they see someone who wants the job, who sees value in their company, who is hungry and motivated, and therefore appreciates that role, other than you who has the knowledge but that low belief in yourself, and therefore comes across almost apologetically like, oh, I don't know this much and I don't know that much, but I'll try, and therefore losing that chance to potentially be the front runner in that situation. And that's just what it means to attract. Your outlook on life pulls people towards you or pushes people away from you. So, the lessons here when it comes to the law of attraction is that really your dominant thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, your values will one way or the other become what you end up with. If you keep telling yourself that you're poor and you don't have money to do the valuable things in your life, you will not use that little that you have to invest towards those things that are meaningful to you. And consequently, you will sit endlessly in those that are not meaningful to you. For you to be able to attract the people that you want in your life, you have to manifest the kind of qualities that those people want so that you can attract them, because in their own lives, that is who they want to sit with. For you to be able to manifest the life that you seek, you have to look for the outcomes and not the problems. You have to seek the solutions and not the issues that you're sitting in. And therefore, the gratitude, the strength, irrespective of all your problems, focus on what you can control, what you can change, what you have to give, because that's how you crawl out of those holes. That's how you overcome all the sadness and the tragedy that has befallen you. Because the law of attraction is acknowledging that there are problems, but it's also stating that you can get out of those problems if you want the other side of life big enough, if you want it good enough, if you want it persistently. You have to manifest those actions persistently. Yes, I'm suffering, but I'm grateful for the meal I had today. I'm grateful for the support I had yesterday. I'm grateful for the positive qualities I have, even though I have those negatives. And that's how you cultivate that value in yourself, that mindset of abundance, that ability to achieve irrespective of the struggles that you have in your life. And that's the real joy and value of the laws of attraction. If you get stuck in figuring out the problems, in naming them, in elevating them, all you will see is those problems. And all you will have is misery. And that's why we see even healthy, wealthy people struggling in life, because they struggle to see those positives. They get stuck on those overwhelming negatives. And therefore, the life becomes heavier to bear than even some sick people who are positively optimistic. And you find them getting more out of life than some of us who have abundance, but who are trampling on it beneath our own very feet. So for me, I am exploring this, and I am taking a other step in my own life, and I am choosing abundance. I am choosing it over scarcity, over problem, over minimization, because whether you believe it or not, we all have these opportunities. We all have these qualities. We have it in us. But the difficulty and the difference is what you elevate, what you focus on, because that eventually is the outcome that we get. We all have it in us. We all have that potential to be happy, to be wealthy, to be as healthy as we can possibly be. But it all depends on what your core values are, what your belief is, what your thoughts are, what your mindset is. Because the frequency that we manifest, that we deal with, that we live in, is ultimately what is going to come back to us. And that's what the law of attraction means. And so hopefully you wake up tomorrow and start giving yourself that value. Start elevating those little pieces of joy in you, even if you're sitting in bad health or bad wealth or bad relationships, because the only way you can get out is to start to burn and glow inside, to introduce light into that darkness, to introduce words into that misery that will elevate you to a point where you're happier and wealthier and healthier.